Oh, did Destiny get banned from Kick? Didn't he have a contract? It would have been for him mocking the firefighter who died. It expired last month. Oh shit. How do you get banned from Kick? Well, presumably for like making right-wing people upset. It's Kick. They're posting.
The fire get the dude, the firefighter guy, Trump, the people that support him. I just want you to know, okay? Just in case you're confused or it seems like I'm, you don't, whatever. If one of you were in the crowd and you're a conservative fan of mine and you end up, you know, getting blown away or whatever I'm making fun of you the next day on Twitter. I am.
Well, that's moral consistency. Speaking of moral inconsistency, yeah, all the edgy shit that Destiny said about, like, Palestinians or whatever, that you stay on the platform, this, you get kicked off. He might have just gotten, like, mass reported and got auto-banned from conservatives on Kick. I don't know. It might not be, like, an admin level ban, right? Like, it might not be, Kick is a shithole, you know, the clientele there is, so maybe it's just, like, mass reporting and an auto-ban. Is this against the Kick TOS though? Who the TOS doesn't matter. the TOS will be selectively interpreted to suit the whims of the people who are there. You know, it might be a mass report. It might be like an admin thing. Who knows? I have no idea. Yeah, the TOS will always say we can remove you if we want to. That is the TOS of Kick and all sites to an extent, but Kick more so. Kick is the only platform that outspokenly said they wouldn't ban Dr. Disrespect after it turned out he's a pedo. Goes to show what kind of platform it is. Hasn't Kick literally had like half a dozen high-profile streamers on there be outed as pedo? Wasn't there like a wave of it recently? I try not to engage too directly with the drama sphere because it's a energy vampire, but like there's definitely like a predisposition there. They'll tolerate all kinds of shit, but Destiny mocking a fascist dipshit cat turd reply guy for catching a bullet at a rally, I guess, is enough to get banned. Again, whether or not it's like a mass report ban or an admin ban, I don't know how the system works for Kick. I can't really say. So does Lil D deserve this? You can just say Destiny. Lil D is too endearing a nickname for him, I feel. For this, no. I mean, like obviously the question there's like the is this a consistent and fairly applied extension of Kick's TOS? That's one question. And the second question is it like morally just? Like, are you following the rules? Are you following the moral rules? And morally, in this instance, what he did was good. And by the rules, it seems like, no, this isn't a breaking of any rule. Not one that gets meaningfully, like, enforced, you know? Destiny had a Twitter space with an account that might be an Elon burner. Yeah, I actually popped into that one for a second because somebody said, oh, he's debating Elon. And, you know, I'm not... My heart isn't entirely made of stone. I'll see what's up. I don't know if that guy was actually an Elon burner account or if he just had a similar voice. The opening of the debate was, and I'm not kidding, like the opener from the other guy, maybe Elon, maybe just somebody who sounds like, I don't know, I don't really care. The opener from that guy was, why are you so mean? Why do you say mean things? And then Destiny's like, okay, well, let's establish a consistent belief on political violence. How do you feel about, say, for example, January 6th? And the guy was like, I don't have any opinion on January 6th. I have no opinion on that at all. And it went downhill from there. Genuinely, like, one of the most... yeah, like NPC behavior. Like, genuinely one of the most... And dishonest, too. Because, as I watch, this guy pretended to be completely apolitical, but had every right-wing opinion. He would just, like a coward, phrase it as though it was a completely neutral, you know, like this position just... from the ether, you know. Matt, really reinforced my desire to not do debates, I have to say. What a unbelievable waste of time. Dave Rubin did basically the same. There's nothing to engage with on the right. It's like they're like subhumanly stupid. They have to be because it's they either are subhumanly stupid or they are they are aware of the fact that only by pretending to be that can they maintain the necessary contradictions within their ideology. That's what Destiny's been most annoyed about. He went off in a Twitter space the night before about conservatives saying the most evil shit in a pretend civil tone, being so much worse than just being evil. Okay, pardon me for not being caught up in the lore. And I'm not doing this like a, well, where have you been thing. This is presumably a position that Stephen has had for forever, right? Like, this isn't a new decision he's arrived at. This is just a current outburst of frustration on the topic, but he's always believed it. No, he said it's a recent development. Okay. It was the same thing with the Piers Morgan show Destiny was on this morning. Piers was sanitizing Dave Rubin, some far right. Well, Piers Morgan doesn't believe anything except for being the foil to whatever discussion he wants to have at that moment, whatever drives up the most engagement. Motherfucker shifts in his positions like crazy. He doesn't have any hard principled stances. He's purely in it for the driving engagement. That's one. For two, you can't have a real conversation with a right winger anymore. It's not possible. They are either the contradictions in their ideology are so blatant that they either have to be so stupid that they don't recognize them, at which point talking with them is a waste of time. They actually won't understand. They're too dogmatic. Or they recognize that they have to be dishonest to maintain the contradiction, and they lie to protect that. That's every conservative. They will never engage in good faith. Actually, and I've said this before too, the only conservatives at this moment who can engage in good faith when they talk are open, out and about neo-Nazis and fascists, because they are capable of, when they want to at least, directly acknowledging the monstrous conclusions of their beliefs. They will own up to it. Sometimes they will. Most of the time they don't. They dog whistle very insincerely, constantly. Sometimes they will own up to it. This is distinct. This is very different with conservatives compared to other, does Destiny argue in bad faith at times? I mean, I haven't seen him except for the past the few debates that I just listed with the Elon person, or that little bit from Dave Rubin. I certainly feel with me he did, so I know he can. But broadly, can he debate without acting in bad faith? Of course he can. Liberals that I disagree with, if I talk to a liberal, can I engage with them? Can it be an engagement that is where we disagree on the facts of the matter, or the approach, or the reasoning, or even the underlying morals, but nonetheless both people act in good faith? Totally possible. The liberal worldview is one which can be articulated, even if I disagree with parts of it, can be articulated honestly. It's possible. But the conservative one, right now, no. Zero shot. So no more debates. Every debate that I have seen play out, either with myself as a participant or other people engaging in them, every debate that I've seen for at least 2 years now has been offensive to my intelligence and my moral worth as a person. They are actively humiliating to participate in the same way that I would feel demeaned if I had to sort of engage with another person argumentatively with baby talk. It is so removed from the way that I think and the way people should think that it's like an insult to be forced to participate in them. If you disagree with me on a number of subjects from a liberal perspective, I think that there is a reasonable disagreement that you can have. Theoretically, there are plenty of liberals who just act in the same sneering bad faith as any conservative, but it's possible. With a conservative, if you meaningfully disagree with me from that perspective, you are either dishonest to the point that you're not worth the time, or subhumanly stupid. Your brain has to be flawed to buy into these premises. You have to be weak. You can sit and you can listen, but genuinely, if I recall correctly, Destiny regretted how he talked with JP and Ben Shapiro by not pushing Jan 6 harder, and no, he wants to do that. There's never a point that you can never resolve these conversations amicably. Can you not just humiliate Twitter randos like Destiny did? Do you think those Twitter randos feel humiliated afterwards? Look at reality, man. Look at Destiny's Twitter account. Look at the replies from the conservatives. They're barely people. Look at them. They don't give it. They're literally, all of them, you're a short, you're a cuck, you're a short, you're a cuck, you've lost it, da-da-da. They don't care. They don't care. They're beyond information. They're beyond truth. Now, what you want, you think is that it's good content, and it is for some people, but I don't find it satisfying. Yeah, Juzor, I literally saw that. I skipped through parts of it, but I watched some portion of the debate Destiny had with that person who was maybe Elon, maybe not Elon. The moment Destiny left, all the people in the call just started circle jerking with the exact same arguments that Destiny had spent 2 hours tearing into. It's completely meaningless. It's empty. It's dead content. There was a period of time during which the circumstances, the material conditions, etc., whatever jargon you want to use, made it possible for debates to be like a medium of effective direct engagement. That's not a permanent thing, man. It doesn't have to be like that forever. We're not like mollusks clinging to a ship that's floating listless in a dead sea. We can do what we want. I'm free. I don't have to debase myself by talking to repeating arguments that a first grader should understand for 2 hours straight, only to leave and for all of them to all go, yeah, we won that one. In a way that indicates they clearly didn't understand a word that I said. Complete waste of time. Frankly, I don't like and I will say this with no irony, no like not a backhanded compliment at all. I genuinely don't know how Destiny does it. The tolerance for engaging with people on that level, that stupid, that consistently for that long, it's like a blow to the ego that I couldn't endure. Maybe he probably doesn't feel that way. You know, he goes back to his chat, as I would, were I in his place, and we would talk about how stupid they were. But for me, that's not enough. You guys are a bit of a band-aid when I have those kinds of conversations, but not enough of one, man. Vosh, you're speaking like all your debates over the last few years have been one-sided smackdowns? What? I don't understand what you're insinuating. What debates over the past few years? I think that generally speaking, there are more effective ways of moving people over to the left. He probably thinks of it as a StarCraft match. Well, as somebody who watched Destiny back when he played StarCraft, there were points in time where he got so frustrated with the balance of the game that he just stopped playing for a while. So, you know, what would you say the more effective ways of moving people are? I mean, you're gonna hate it, and I have a feeling that this is going to end up like selectively clipped on Destiny's subreddit for him to react to and say he wishes that I was dead or whatever. But Hassan has been more effective in moving people over to the left than I have, and then Destiny has, if that's even a goal of his. It's not, but whatever. And that's because the most effective way to change people's minds is to be handsome and charismatic and play Among Us with, like, gamers. That's it. The most effective way to move people over is through empathy, and in order for people to empathize with you and care about your position, you have to be likable. I like to think that I'm likable, and yet, in spite of this, many people dislike me. Steven certainly is charismatic and charming in his own way. Plenty of people dislike him nonetheless. Many people dislike Hassan, but clearly because of the spaces that he moves in, he's nonetheless been pretty effective in sort of smiling his way through the PR game in some spaces. It's that and once you care about a person or empathize with a person, the difference is from our perspective. It's so funny to call him Steven. I've always done that. I don't, if it comes across as I watched him like 13 years ago, so it's just more reflexively Destiny, whatever. The difference being, of course, that like Hassan doesn't participate in the debate sphere. That's not like a space that he occupies. So from our perspective, we only see people that shit talk Hassan, right? Like I don't interact with Hassan stands that much. But then if you go on TikTok, you'll find TikToks with like 100,000 likes of a cute girl being like, teehee Hassan Piker. And like, I'm really sorry. Maybe this is demeaning in its own way. That is unfortunately political power, you know? That's political power. If people care about you, if people like you, if people think you're cute, they're more likely to listen to you, and that's a foundation upon which you can change people's minds. It's one of the reasons why, like, the go-to insult conservatives use against Destiny is the cuck thing, because he's non-monogamous or whatever was. I don't know. At some point was. It's a thought-terminating cliche that has absolutely nothing to do with his arguments or positions. They employ it because it's easier than debunking his talking points. They do it because it's... well, because it's a thought-terminating cliche, that's what the term means. It spares them the effort of caring about or liking him. I'm sure you're all familiar with the many things people say about me to sort of preemptively sort of get people to dislike me, you know? There's a couple I can think of, yeah. Hassan makes bad arguments a lot, and that doesn't matter when we're actually trying to convince people. Destiny only cares about the arguments or the position, which isn't as important to convert. Well, that's not true. Destiny is perfectly capable of, like, employing rhetoric or framing his arguments in specific ways to benefit in specific audiences. Like, the idea that he's purely a logic lord is simply not true. Everyone on some level engages with the rhetorical, delivery-based elements of trying to convince people, because I mean, if you can't do that, you would just be like autistically, robotically reciting a series of arguments with no engagement or no like counterplay, and like no one would watch that really. It'd be like arguing with Chat GPT. Everyone does the rhetoric bit. I have criticisms of Hassan's arguments and the way he handles himself sometimes, but there's no denying the fact that he's got good pull and a wide reach, right? That's why I got a haircut, okay? It's so the, you know, it's for the political reach, all right? So people can look at me and normally they'd be like, you know, oh wow, this guy, his hair looks like shit, I'm not gonna listen to him. But now I got the haircut, so you know. So the goal is to use parasociality to bring people to our side. That's not parasociality, it's just being likable. That's it. Being likable, winning people's positive look, I'm speaking broadly here, but like, as is the case with all social engagement, it's a popularity game, you know? No one's out there winning elections because they've written out like a balance sheet that has the most effective way to spend the state funds. Like no one's out there winning election because they have like the perfect policy positions. It's how they deliver it. This operates on every level. It's interesting, I think, in a weird kind of poetic way, that the three largest political streamers, at least live streamers in the sense that we are, like Tim Pool live streams, but I don't think of him as a live streamer. Myself, Destiny, and Hassan are all very, very different in the way we approach and deliver this information. Obviously, when I started, I was much more like Destiny. Now, of course, there's something of a divergence, but there's very, very different approaches there. Vosh, Hassan, Destiny all agreeing on something, nature's healing. All it took was Destiny having a left-wing position. That's it. Turns out it was that easy. Definitely don't think the kick ban is justified in any fashion. It was a 2-week ban for hate speech. He just shared the email. Oh, it's not permanent? Okay, well, I suppose that's good. Hopefully this does away, not only for Destiny's community, but like, I don't know, in the broader political space, any, I guess, delusional pretense that conservatives are like arguing from an equal playing field. They know fully well that they wish death upon their enemy. They do it openly and in private. Every once in a while, they are forced by circumstance to pretend to care when a queer person or a black person is killed. Though not often, by the way. They're pro Trayvon Martin dying, pro you know, sorry, not Derek Chauvin, George Floyd dying, pro Eric Garner dying. Like, if you look back at basically every point in time where a member of an undesirable group died unjustly and like a big hubbub was made over it, unless that person was explicitly right-wing, or their death can be sort of like made martyr to another narrative that's convenient for them, they will almost always take the side of death. They will almost always be in favor of death, and they signal death for their enemies non-stop. And then, of course, if you ever do the same to them, they'll go, oh, you wouldn't wish death upon a person just for being a fascist and want to put you in a camp, would you? You wouldn't hit a birthday boy with you wouldn't hit a birthday fascist boy with glasses, would you? Little fascist glasses? And they'll scream and they'll cry. And the frustrating thing is that many Republicans are malicious enough to do that back and forth and know that they're lying, but a lot of them are genuinely just like animalistically stupid, like and I don't think it's an innate genetic thing. I just think that they are part of a political environment that shaves off the functionality of their brain until it is perfectly smooth, and they are genuinely now too stupid to understand the hypocrisy of being pro January 6th, but getting upset when people on the other side extol like the necessity of political violence. Like they genuinely don't understand the hypocrisy. It's crazy. The hardware is fine. They downloaded a virus. Yeah, maybe. Do you think the Destiny drama is them manufacturing consent to hurt us and them openly not caring? The thing that I personally find, like, not ironic necessarily, not funny necessarily, Destiny's whole, like, spite revenge against the left arc was spurred in large part because he made arguments that were convenient to left-leaning people when he attacked, like, conservative figures. And then he felt that he was sort of betrayed by them because the left-leaning people who found his arguments convenient, much as you guys have done, by the way, when you're like, oh, he's having a base arc, like, you are doing the thing that initially spurred him in the silly direction he headed in, because he felt that it was like fair weather friendship. He was only being selectively sort of lauded there. And I think you'd think he would have learned from that, but the right does the exact same thing, but in my opinion, quite a bit worse, because on the left you have, shitty YouTubers and posters. On the right, you have, like, every pundit and politician on the right, certainly the ones that are online enough to engage with this discourse, is complicit in a deliberate and manufactured strategy of disingenuous hypocrisy, where they will enable and defend the worst shit in the world on their side. They are fully aware of the fact that they personally, or at the very least people around them, actively want to destroy American democracy. Not just like, oh, they have different political opinions on how America should be run. Internally, they are aware of the fact that January 6th was a coup attempt that failed, that Project 2025 is an effort to install Trump as a dictator, and they are in favor of it. Some of them might be delusional enough to think like, oh no, it's just like purging the deep state. But I think for the majority, when we're talking about people at that level, the pundits, the politicians, I think they are fully aware of what they're doing. And they bantied about with Destiny for a while in a kind of like, oh, well, he's willing to talk it out. And to Destiny's credit, he is willing to talk it out. He is more willing to talk it, and it being, I guess, anything, out than anyone else, seemingly. But obviously, this too is a kind of fair weather engagement, The moment you sort of confront the hypocrisy of the right in a meaningful way, instantly, it's not just that they disagree. No, they get you banned from Kick. They freak out, Much the same way that, like, people like libs of TikTok will be like, oh, we want free speech. We don't think, Elon will say, I don't think people should lose their jobs for stuff they say on social media. And then libs of TikTok is actively doxing and trying to get people fired for saying that they wish that the shooter had hit Trump, It's just like, I'm not saying Steve's a fool for falling for it, because I don't think he fell for it in the sense of he thought all these conservatives were being honest. That would be stupid. I think that he believed there was more of a marginal benefit to engaging with them to pull people over. He knows his affairs better than mine. In my opinion, at the moment, debate is a nearly worthless medium for pulling people over. You might get fair weather people over, like much in the same way that there was a period of time during which I made a lot of arguments against woke scolds, and there were people on the right who would be like, yo, Vosh based for calling out the pink-haired Twitter woke scolds, but they didn't actually get moved over to the left, right? They didn't actually have their mind changed. They just agreed with me on what they saw as a shared position. I think the debate conceptually is capable of changing people's minds. I just think that at the moment we're living in an era of such unreality that, like, just imagine the mind of a conservative. What could I say to change that? It's crazy, genuinely crazy. You get people who are fixated on the content. You get people who are into the K-fob and the engagement, and they like the clippable moments, and they like the arguments, and they like the epically owning people, and so on and so on. But do you get people whose minds are changed? Maybe sometimes, but I think right now, when arguing directly with the kind of people who, I don't know, unironically like, well, no one likes Dave Rubin anymore, I guess. Michael Knowles or Matt Walsh or Candace Owens or whatever. The only thing I heard about Destiny is his open relationship and his girlfriend was with another guy. That's because that's all the conservatives say. That's it. You're like a pet to them if you play the game. If you play the game, you're like the pet liberal who comes in. You're like the liberal they brought on to Crossfire, you know, the old or the old Fox News tradition of having like the one or two hosts who were tepid liberals who existed there to be strawmen, to be torn apart by the more aggressive confrontational conservatives who would go on their show. You're like a fun plaything. You can go over there and just tear into them for 150 minutes straight. You can go in there and you can like systematically, again, I'll say it. I'll say it. I did peep in that Stephen talking to the person who maybe wasn't Elon Musk, and the guy he was talking to was just straight not there mentally. Don't know how that guy ties his shoes. Destiny leaves the call after 2 hours. Immediately, that guy just goes back to circle jerking with his other right-wing buddies about how they were right the whole time, repeating arguments that got debunked earlier. To me, like engaging in this process is fruitless and humiliating. I could not. In my mind, I still imagine this concept of a fruitful debate. I had a good debate recently on Breaking Points, hosted by Ryan Grimm, against that comedian, libertarian, whatever the on Ukraine. And I think I laid out good positions. Am I going to change the mind of the average person who follows that guy's content? Well, that guy's got like a Putin's dick imprint, like the head of his cock printed in 2 inches back of through his throat. Like I don't know if that guy's audience is amenable to differences in opinion. I have no idea. There's no way to do it in this environment of anti-truth. Yeah, unfortunately, we kind of have to do the historical comparison thing here. I'm really sorry, guys. It's a little bit trite, but I'm going to pull it out. Nobody was doing any good winning debates with Nazis in 1933. You know, there was a point in time where some elements, some sections of society could be pulled, but past a point, a group gets so insular, so cult-like, that the odds of any individual can be convinced, by the way. I'm not literally giving up on the concept of changing people's minds. I just don't think debates are the way to do it. Like I said earlier, I think the best way to do it is just be charming, personable, engaging, funny, pull people in that way, and then they just are more likely to warm up to your political views. Debate is a naturally confrontational medium of engagement, less likely to get people who already disagree with you to see something sympathetic. Not impossible, but more difficult, you know? Do you think maybe good moderators make for better debates? No, it doesn't matter. Also, there are no, if they're a good moderator would never be accepted as a moderator by a fascist, because a good moderator would fact check and the fascist would never get a word out. Good moderation would mean fact checking. If the moderator exists only to like be a chess timer to make sure both people talk the same length of time, who cares? Well, I don't want to be interrupted by some guy who's just like presiding over the debate to make sure everyone gets their 4 minutes. 2 minutes of brain rot drool from a fascist is worth nothing. Every minute of my speech worth gold, solid gold, baby. Print that on the paper. If he talks for 2 minutes, I should get to talk for the next 118. I don't care. You know, like moderation is not the solution here. Every lie you lose one. Every lie, the chair that you're strapped to delivers an electric shock. The series Talking with Empathy one-on-one with the incel stuff was amazing. Help me. Yeah, historically, by the way, for the most part, over the past few years, my bumps in engagement, rare as they are, considering the fact that I'm maybe the most contemptuously hated person in all of the left-leaning political space online. Possibly, you know, there's competition. I feel like I've done a lot to earn my place. Thank you. But in terms of getting like decent engagement within the past few years, past the point in time where I feel debates have become less fruitful as a mode of engagement, the biggest bursts of attention that I get tend to be from self-help and incel stuff. You know, because these are topics where I can relate to people's personal experiences and try to, like, you know, in an empathetic, straightforward, and helpful fashion, engage with insecurities or fears people might have. That wins people over in a way that I don't think debates do anymore. I don't really know if Destiny isn't interested in debating people on the right anymore. It makes me wonder what. Because people on the left don't really debate Destiny anymore for a variety of reasons. The largest of which being that like barely anyone on the left does debates. And then with the right, like, I don't know if he's dipping out of that entirely. I certainly wouldn't blame him. he should debate the center. But the center is just the right, but stupider. I'd rather debate the right than the center. Anyone who pulls the centrist bullshit in this environment is almost certainly just playing cover for the fact that they have indefensible views. And it's never left-leaning. No one is ever like, yeah, I'm a moderate. I'm in the center, you know? And they turn out to be a socialist. It never happens. When he debates right-leaning people, I don't really think he tends to engage with them in bad faith. You know, bad faith is usually something that he pulls out when he's emotionally invested, not really something that he pulls out like just as a like a default mode of engagement. For some people, debating in bad faith is the default. Like bad faith engagement is the way, like in a purposeful sense, that they choose to engage in debate. And I think that's more common. And the more emotionally invested a person gets in a situation, the more likely they are to engage in some kind of bad faith. That's universal, right? I mean, like, if a person's upsetty spaghetti enough, they're gonna fly off a little bit. He said he's going full Nebraska Steve mode and conservatives now. He's just not going to be nice. He's going to get banned from Kick again then, because that site's not politically neutral, you know?